Yeah, so I finally got my head around object relations. I thought you'd appreciate that. It's probably taking me a year to realize I couldn't get the object and the relations. And finally, it's like, oh, it's about relationship with an object, and the primary object is mom. But
Right.
object relations, like you always think, is it about a thing? Like, what
Like
does
a
it mean?
circle or something, or a
Yeah,
ball or a,
yeah, an
a
object
car.
relation. Why do you call it object relations? Like, what's wrong with you, cohort or cohort or some cohort, whatever his name is?
Yeah, I don't actually understand that either. I might have been told that at one point in time why object relations is the chosen name for the modality, but I couldn't tell you why because I don't remember. But I do think it's an odd name. But in psychology, we like weird names and we love acronyms.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah, lots of acronyms. So what kind of psychology do you practice? So you consider yourself psychotherapist, CBT? Um,
Everything. I'm eclectic. Of
eclectic.
course, I was trained under David Mannock and mostly, I mean, I had other influences, of course. Dr. Michelle Cox, who also I did quite a bit of training under in school. And she's more Jungian, which she argues is attachment based. And I think we can argue that to some degree, all modalities are attachment based. But my primary lens, I guess, or scope that I view the world is definitely through attachment, EFT, emotion focused therapy. And then I have a specialized training in EMDR.
Oh,
and
do you really?
I do. And
EMDR.
I love doing EMDR.
Wow.
For some clients, it really bypasses that talk therapy. It shortens the duration of therapy.
Wow.
It's like, what might take 10 or 20 sessions of talk therapy, we can knock out in 1 or 2 sessions of EMDR.
How does one get trained in that?
There's special trainings and certifications. I went and worked, did my training under Dr. Mansfield up in Portland. And you have to be supervised by an EMDR supervisor. And I stick pretty closely to the fidelity model. I don't really stray from it.
Is that the 8 steps?
Yeah, I don't remember how many steps there are off the top of my head, but I mean, I'm like, if the wheel isn't broken, don't try to fix it.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, of course I add my own little ways of relating with people, but I can't do EMDR over the phone. There might be, or over Skype or whatever, there might be a way to do it, but I tried it a little bit with the client tapping and that failed miserably. So I just decided I'm not trained. Yeah. I'm just not trained well enough, I guess, or whatever. So I'm just going to leave it alone because that could be really dangerous if a client really floods and can't ground themselves and I'm not there in person to help them. I don't feel equipped. And so I don't want to put the client in harm's way.
Do you use lights or do you use your fingers?
I actually use a wand that I hold.
Okay.
But the clinic just purchased an EMDR light bar. And it has little vibrating like hand things that you can hold too. Oh. So I'm chomping at the bit to use that and I can't.
I saw John used it the other day. So I'd like to see that. Well, maybe I'll see if I can get trained. I don't know if they'll train me if I'm not licensed,
No, they won't.
Jerks.
They won't. I know. I wish you can just get licensed. Go do like an online thing.
I will. And see if I can get surprise someone. Yeah, I'd like to understand, like I was listening up to some videos of people who use it about how it kind of matches REM sleep and that using the eye movement to access memories. And my friends that have done it, I have, it seems like God clusters like client types, at least that's what I'm finding right now. So I have 2 types of clients. I have young teens, and then I have people with trauma, like deep trauma.
Okay.
For some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like all my clients are in like category either teen with tons of trauma or adults with like horribly abusive pasts. And so you'll find like the physical manifestations when you start talking about stuff and you just go, oh, there's the embodied trauma, right?
Yes.
And these, 20, 30 years of abuse will do that to you.
Oh, absolutely. And we use a SUDS. I can't even remember what the acronym stands for right now. But it basically is the somatic, I can't remember what it is, but using those somatic body signals to trace back to the root of the trauma.
Scale, social, subjective units of distress scale.
Yeah, subjective units of distress. Yeah, okay.
All right, I'll check it out. Love that stuff. So, yeah, hey, thanks, man. I'm getting to know you a little better and kind of who you are in your therapeutic modality. We've actually never talked about that very much.
No, we haven't. It's been good to get to know you, and I would love to see how you do counseling. I've done some of the pastoral counseling with Lanny, actually, yep. And his interventions, or the way that he relates with me, and the words that he uses to reflect empathy and advanced empathy is very similar to the way I do it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, it actually is kind of uncanny. I'm like, this is weird. Like,
well, we're all trained by David. Yeah.
I know, right? But even beyond that, I mean, I can tell where his training from David has influenced him, but this is his personal style. Like, this is how, his personality coming through, just his natural relational, uniqueness. And it's very similar to mine. I'm like, wow, this is a trip.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we're all kind of learning how to develop our own therapeutic voice, as David says, right?
That's what it is. Yeah. Therapeutic voice. Because therapy is an art, right? It's a little different for everybody.
Yeah. It's like a practitioner kind of type of thing. Mm-hmm. It's applied science, I guess. Yeah. Right now I tend to be phenomenological a lot. But I certainly do the advanced empathy and those things too. But I get a lot of content from just reading the body language and just asking about it.
Yeah.
David hadn't mentioned that to me. I don't know, like I'd be lost because I picked up all the signals, but I just would hold them and finally go, oh, I had a client yesterday, 2 days ago, I guess. And we started addressing a brother situation. And all of a sudden she looked down and her voice just kind of trailed and she went off into deep space. I was like, hey, Jill, as you started talking about Jack, I lost you for a moment. Like, where did you go?
Yeah, yeah.
It opens up, right?
Wow,
Yeah, so I just kind of do my countertransference and reflect it back, and it generates some really interesting insights.
Oh, countertransference is wonderful when you use it for the greater good. Like, I am so grateful that David taught me not to be afraid of or ignore countertransference.
Exactly. I was scared. Shitless out of it. But now I just use it. I just use it, and I'll say, hey, as you said that, I really kind of had this moment where it hit me really hard, and I felt extreme sadness. I mean, was that just me or was that you? And they'd be like, that's exactly what I feel like, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's great. I love countertransference now because it actually teaches me what is happening with the client. And I've gotten to a place where I'm very comfortable with my own countertransference. It used to be like, why am I feeling anxious? This is really weird. Why am I feeling so anxious? Now I can hold that. And if I can't catch it, usually I figure it out in the session. But if I can't, I can go talk with a colleague or something, or even think about it, and it kind of comes to me. Yes. And it's helped me heal.
Yes. No.
I mean, that's the cool, crazy thing.
The most awesome thing about therapy is the husband it's made me for Jocelyn, and the dad it's made me for my kids, and the person I become before God. Like you go, oh, like I see myself in my clients, and I go home and I do that. Like, maybe not as severe, but that pattern is my pattern.
Yes.
Like, it's wonderful, man.
Yes. It's like, we're all very basic and primal at our core. And it just takes another relationship to help us understand that in our reactions. And it's very empowering. David helped me do that. He was so good at helping me understand my experience being adopted, especially because he's adopted, right? But right. I noticed that he had healed and that it wasn't bothersome to him the way it was bothersome to me. And all I needed was to sit with him a few times to really understand why it bothered me. And then the power of it, or the oppression of it, literally disappeared. And I literally reframed. I was able to reframe adoption and the whole experience with God, with David's help sitting with me. And he actually helped Dwayne, you know, my husband, understand it on a deeper level too. And it just, the power of that left as far as feeling bad about it.
Wow.